Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV. We're back with another video, and in this video we are talking about pretty much the mid-season finale, I think, of season 4. I don't know how many episodes they have. I think it is just the 10 that they usually have in a season. So, with that being said, we're just going to have a big old discussion here, talk about everything that happened, kind of give you guys some slight thoughts. This is more of a recap than a review, though, so if you want people's thoughts on it, I'd probably go elsewhere. So, let's get into the video. So Joe has found fair Kate in quite a compromising position. All he can think to himself is, wow, falling for a girl who could stab her frenemy to death. This is so me. Kate claims she's not the murderer, and much like Joe with Malcolm, not that she knows that yet, she just happened upon this dead body and grabbed a knife spontaneously, not even sure where that came from. But she can't call security because if her dad were the one to get her out of this little pickle, he would own her, which is worse than anything, she says, which I think is sort of a tasteless thing to say over the still warm corpse of a girl you know who just got murdered. It doesn't take Kate long to point out to Joe that this situation looks pretty bad for him too, so now they're in this thing together. It's the you jump, I jump of dead body disposal. So, while the rest of the party descends into debauchery, oodles of coke, rallying cries like fuck democracy, and Roll gazes eerily into the night as he awaits an opportunity for a private word with Jonathan Moore, and Kate and Joe strategize. Each of them is horrified and impressed, but also horrified again by how adept their new teammate is at hiding a new body. It's almost like somebody's done this before. So Kate's final words for Gemma is that she was an absolute muppet, which is kind of like a Britishism type thing, I guess. They stashed their girl on what looks like a hope chest just in hope for Phoebe to burst in, uninvited, to announce to her friends that she caught Adam with a servant. Joe helps Phoebe realize that Adam has a kink he hasn't told her about, which he does. Kate, brilliantly and hilariously, tells her friend to get out so she and Joe can have sex, which was pretty fucking awesome. It was a pretty fire excuse to get out of that. Phoebe needs no additional prodding. Women supporting women, I guess. Unfortunately for Kate and Joe, as soon as they pick up the trunk, the bottom falls out and Gemma smacks the floor again. You just can't rely on musty antiques for this sort of heavy lifting. So, inspired by his own recent defenestration, everything is a copy, Joe has the inspired idea to push Gemma out the window. He and Kate take Gemma to the game larder. Lots of bloody, sharp stuff in this freaky place. I don't even know what a game larder really is. I guess it's a place you take animals and you, like, butcher them. Or, like, that you already, like, killed in the wild, like deer and whatnot. Just as Joe is wondering why his pattern is to fall for a woman and hide corpses together, Kate puts a knife to his throat. Understandably, she wants to know why he is so good at hiding bodies. I mean, I too would be worried about that, but you also need to hide a body right now. So maybe hold off on the Q&A session until after you've taken care of this, you know? So Joe confesses that he was framed for Malcolm's murder and thinks someone is trying to do something similar to Kate. Naturally, she's both intrigued and repulsed by the notion that Joe took care of it, Malcolm's body. He tells her a very carefully edited version of the truth. He's been getting these stalkerish texts from someone threatening to expose his past, where something bad happened that cost me my son, whose name he will not share with Kate. You know, you groan kind of at Kate's realization that Joe was trying to protect her. You know, the get out of suspicions free card that Joe has relied on since the mugging. Will that attack end up being connected to all of this, you think? Again, I'm sorry that I don't care at all about Phoebe and Adam, even though I think it's very cool of her to have such an open mind about her boyfriend's proclivities. Shame is no place in the boudoir. Sorry about that. And for astute observation about what his kink and his inability to enact it with her says about their whole dynamic. I'm proud of her for dumping him, but also they have no chemistry and I never really bought them as a couple. Let's get back to the body. So, Kate wants to know how having sex with her played into Joe's plan, which is where Joe is contractually obligated to say that having sex with her was not part of the plan. And here, again, this is required by law, is when Kate realizes that she was wearing a bracelet with her name on it that slipped off in the game larder. I'm sorry, but, like, this makes you want to lose your fucking mind. Absolutely fucking amateur hour. I was hoping that she did this on purpose to shake Joe, pin all the murders on him, and reveal herself to be the big bad, but it would appear she was just uncharacteristically careless. Which, again, yeah, that's not like her. So, she returns to her room to find Phoebe there, mouth agape at the bloody rug they neglected to throw out the window with Gemma in it. Kate fills Phoebe in, and all of this is remarkably frictionless, just considering everything. Like, what? How did Phoebe so seamlessly believe her and so seamlessly, kind of just go along with things? I thought that was very strange that that's where the show took this. Kim is really more second tier, said Phoebe. I mean, I'm gutted. Phoebe convinces Kate that it's wise to have this staff stay close by so that Jonathan can retrieve Kate's bracelet without getting busted. Phoebe's relieved to be on benzos for this whole experience. Against all odds, she's having a pretty good night. So, unfortunately for Joe, Roald, who hates him with the energy of a mustache-twirling cartoon villain, overheard this entire conversation. With the encouragement of Adam, who wants Jonathan Moore killed for being a little snitch-ass spy, Roald takes a rifle to the game larder and holds Joe hostage. He doesn't kill Joe immediately, but instead brings him back to the group, minus Kate and Phoebe, who are inconveniently MIA. Like, what the fuck? Phoebe is like one of the major people in this friend group, and people are just like, she's gone. Whatever, it's fine. A lot of the plot lines don't make sense, and overall for this show, that is the case. And, Roald reports on what he found, clue style. Jonathan was in the game larder with Gimma's body. I thought that was kind of funny how they, it seems like they referenced the game. Like, it seems something, straight out of that game, the clue, like how you're supposed to say it. So, this is such a strange episode, energy-wise, because a lot of theoretically thrilling and scary things are going down. But most of these characters don't matter to us, and stranger still, and this really sucks the momentum out of everything, the events of the episode don't seem to matter much to them. So why, me as an audience, would it matter to me? I don't know. Everybody here is on drugs, and no one is taking Roald's proclamation seriously. And it kind of annoys you when you're watching it, because it's like, well, this doesn't hold as much gravity. I know their entire shtick is that they're rich idiots who only think about themselves, but I expect them to be somewhat more riled up about the prospect of their friends summarily executing a guy right in front of them. Also, there's a serial killer on the loose, so wouldn't that give everyone a little more pep in their step? How are we supposed to get excited about anything happening when it all feels so stakesless and flat? Roald decides to give Joe a head start, which reminds me of the menu. I think I did review that on the channel before. I'm not going to edit it in because I really don't have time today to do it. I mean, I could, but then he's off to go peasant hunting. He was workshopping that this entire time and is stupidly proud of himself for the pun. It's like, yeah. Joe sprints for his life into the woods instead of, screaming Kate's name and finding her upstairs so she can vouch for him and get him out of there. Just an idea, but I know it's hard to think clearly under duress. Again, more stupid character decisions. I mean, it's pretty typical. So, there you have it. After Roald leaves, Phoebe and Kate come downstairs to get the update from their friends, who still have not moved or attempted to leave and are just sort of draped over the furniture. Kate demands security to go find Roald. Meanwhile, Joe manages to tackle his assailant, who I guess did not consider the possibility that he could be disarmed. But just as Joe is strangling Roald, who shows up but Rhys? This is the huge plot twist in this episode. "Hello, Joe," he says, and then knocks Joe out. It's like the "hello, Dexter." That's pretty dope, because Rhys was obviously like a prospect, throughout the season, so it makes sense. Joe regains consciousness chained up in a dungeon with some spooky dolls lying around, because of course this castle is equipped with such a place, though Phoebe likely doesn't know it's there. I mean, I kind of miss the human aquarium at this point. While Roald sleeps off his bender, Rhys does the thing that bad guys do where they explain their entire plot. The plan is to pin all the murders on Roald. He's a neo-fascist with a knife collection. And as a finishing touch, Rhys wants Joe to kill Roald. Joe pretends their interests are aligned. Once Rhys leaves, Joe laments to himself that the guy who seemed like a good person is actually a monster. Even though Joe thinks Roald deserves to die, he has decided he will not be someone else's puppet. But Rhys walks in on Joe, trying to free himself, which means whatever jig Joe has running where he was pretending to be on Rhys' team is up. I feel like Rhys just wants to be Batman, which is very funny to me. He even does the voice when he says, "My way is the only way, you know it." Rhys kicks over the lantern and lights the dungeon on fire. So, back at the house, everybody smells smoke and realizes they must get out. Roald regains consciousness. Woof, rough wake-up call, buddy. And in a miraculous turn of events, Joe frees himself from his chains and then bashes open Roald's chains with a rock. I don't know. All hope seems lost except for Kate showing up at the last minute to pull them out. Everybody staggers away from the castle as it burns to the ground. Hamsey is now dead to them, pretty much. So, Back in London, as you'd expect, both this fire and Gemma's death have made the news. Joe hasn't heard from Rhys since his return, probably because Rhys is too busy formally announcing his candidacy for mayor. Why doesn't Joe just leave London? Why can't Joe just pick up on the signs and be like, yeah, I'm getting out of here? Kate pops over to bring Joe some clothes Malcolm never bothered to wear and to say she owes him a pint for the whole thing, where he helped her hide a body and also nearly died due to the insanity of her nearest and dearest. Joe decides it would be dangerous for Kate to get too close to him, which is pretty accurate. At least he's self-aware. She tells him that his past doesn't scare her, and, well, it fucking should. She takes his rejection quite poorly, obviously, because it seemed like at first Joe was kind of the main aggressor, but now Kate kind of took that role. But Joe has other things on his mind, like how he has to stop Rhys, I guess by killing him. Is there another way? Outing him as a serial killer somehow? I'm curious to see how the show finds its way out of this corner, but I also feel like in this installment, we are losing the thread. We've dropped a lot of what makes you the show that it is, right? I mean, Joe's obsession is just a guy who hates the same people that Joe also hates. What do you guys think? I mean, were you still intrigued enough for the second half? Because this was the end of the first part, so you already know that they were gonna throw some crazy shit in. I don't know. I'm out. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I don't want to make these videos too long because in the past that has kind of been the case. We've had 15, 16-minute videos. I don't want that to be the case. So, with that being said, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. Later today at some point, I'm going to be recording my Road to Glory series. So, there is that. I'm out.